everyone, and welcome back to MUTV. I'm Zoey Scheurich, and this is the Stories of Marquette, a brand new interview series where we share the stories of campus clubs and organizations and highlight the impact they have on our community. Today, I'm excited to be joined by my friend and coworker, Mara McAndrews. Mara founded and is now the graduate assistant of the Marquette chapter of Narrative 4 that builds empathy and connection through storytelling. Founded in 2020, Narrative 4 at Marquette became a safe space for students to connect across differences, and during the pandemic, its story exchanges helped many on our campus feel less isolated. Mara, thank you for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about Narrative 4 today.
Well, I'm excited to get to talk about Narrative 4 today. So in your own words, what is Narrative 4?
So Narrative 4 is a global nonprofit that was started in 2012 by changemakers, authors, and artists who were seeing issues of isolation and polarization in the world, and they came together to try to find a way to address it. So what they decided on was a artist network and a story exchange methodology in which they brought together people from different sides of big debates, world issues, and had them tell their stories to one another and invited them to step into each other's shoes and have them tell the other person's story from the first person. So it's a real walking in someone else's story and holding someone else's story. And I found out about it my sophomore year of undergrad, and I fell completely in love with it.
Well, I obviously have heard your story before, but why did you feel the need that there needed to be a Marquette University chapter started here?
So my sophomore year at Marquette was 2020, as you mentioned, and even before the pandemic really began, there was a lot of polarization in our city of Milwaukee, and I was seeing how it was both affecting our students but also separate from our students, and I wanted to bring Marquette students into the Milwaukee community. Now, this effort was, of course, kind of paused by the pandemic, but it became even more important, I felt, to the students at Marquette to find a way to reconnect with each other in this time of separation and also when we came back together. So I began my work in the summer of 2020 to work with the global nonprofit and to bring it to Marquette and to train facilitators to begin doing story exchanges. And then it became super instrumental in our return to campus once the pandemic started slowing down, and it's really only grown since.
And for those who don't really know what a story exchange is, could you give like a quick brief overview of what that is?
Yes, I can. So we start the story exchange by kind of talking about what we're there to do. We have a lot of different topics, whether they be political, community building. We do a lot of reflection on community service. We work with the people who want to put the story exchange on, and we focus on the themes they want to focus on. And then we establish community norms. So we talk about the importance of holding each other's stories respectfully, of not letting those stories leave the room, of confidentiality, and creating a safe space. And then we put people into partners, and you are given a prompt, a story to tell your partner about 3 to 5 minutes. You tell your story to your partner. Your partner really focuses on actively listening and being present in the moment. They don't ask any questions, no interruptions. And then after that, you listen to your partner's story in the same way, and you listen actively. And in that process, you learn each other's stories, you take some notes, talk to each other about how you both experienced your different stories, and then you come back to the larger group with your partner, and you actually tell your partner's story from the first person. So if you and I were partners, I would say, hello, my name is Zoe, and this is my story, and I would tell your story as if it happened to me. And this is a way to practice empathy very practically, and it can be very uncomfortable at first. I know a lot of people, when they hear me explain it, find it very silly, but it's actually super transformative, and it's a really good way for students to step into each other's experiences and learn and grow through the things that their peers have been through that they maybe necessarily haven't gone through.
That sounds wonderful. There are so many great student organizations on campus. What do you think makes Narrative 4 stand out or feel different from some of those others?
I think that Narrative 4 stands out almost because it needs all of those other organizations. We do a lot of our own work, but we are a very complementary organization in that we work with a lot of different orgs across campus to do these story exchanges with them. And we're instilled in the Arupe Center here, so we do a lot of work with community service, but we've worked with fraternities and sororities, the educational preparedness program, we're able to go into all of these spaces where students are already connecting and to facilitate further connection. We also now are part of the curriculum at Marquette, so there is a Narrative 4 class that students can take. And I think that our spread across campus and all of the places that we find ourselves makes us very unique. And of course, I hope that we can spread out even more.
Well, looking back over your last couple of years, it's been about 5 years. What has been the most meaningful experience you've had with Narrative 4, either here at Marquette or more broadly?
That is a very tough question. Oh my goodness. Well, I think I would start with a story that I always love to tell, which is our partnership with the Educational Preparedness Program. So we do story exchanges and Narrative 4 work with the program in which formerly incarcerated students take classes with more traditional four-year Marquette students. They are often English classes, and I personally went to a poetry class and did a story exchange. And we try to do them at the beginning of the semester and then come back again at the end of the semester. So I just remember walking into this class, and of course you have your, 18 to 20-year-old students in the room, and they're on one side of the room. And then you have the formerly incarcerated students who are up to middle-aged, much older, and obviously have very different life experiences. And they were sitting on the other side of the room, and they're all in the class together. And we did the story exchange, and we had them pair up with each other across their different life experiences. And it was just the most beautiful thing I've ever witnessed. The way that these students were able to so quickly connect with people who had such different lives than them, and vice versa, and see that they had more in common than they did differently. And of course, coming back to that class at the end of the semester to see them all sitting together, friendly, being truly a part of each other's lives, it just made me feel so much love for the program that I'm a part of.
That's wonderful. I mean, honestly, that's one of the beautiful things about Narrative 4. If someone today is interested in Narrative 4, I know you mentioned the curriculum, that there's going to be a class, I think it's starting in the spring, or just wants to learn a little bit more about how students can connect with Narrative 4, what are some options out there?
Yeah, so I would definitely want to shout out the class that is going on in the spring. It satisfies a lot of the core requirements, so it's not a major specific class, anyone can take it and it'll fulfill a lot of requirements. In that class, you can become a trained facilitator and immediately start doing Narrative 4's work, which is very fun, and students absolutely love that class and love doing it. If the class is not an option for you, or if you want to learn in other ways, I work within the Arupe Center, so head by the Arupe Center in the AMU. I'm often there, and they have some of our Narrative 4 materials there as well, and that is kind of our home base. So that is a great way to get to know about us too.
And finally, what are your hopes and goals for the future years of the Marquette chapter? Where do you see it going in the next few years?
My goal is that by your sophomore year, every student has already done a story exchange. I hope that it's that integrated into our classrooms, into our clubs, and that students just become more integrated in the Milwaukee community, the greater Milwaukee community. Part of my work as a university coordinator is to connect students to local high schools and to local art organizations, and I really want to expand that work to, I don't know if the Marquette bubble is something that we still talk about. I know that Milwaukee's gotten a little bit more, or rather, Marquette's gotten more integrated into Milwaukee, but I still feel like there's such a division between Marquette and Milwaukee, and I hope that Narrative 4's work makes that division a little bit smaller.
That's wonderful. Well, Mara, thank you so much for sharing your story and for all the work Narrative 4 has done at Marquette. It's been such a privilege, obviously, getting to learn a little bit more about your story and the wonderful impact that they've had. And thank you so much to our viewers for tuning into the Stories of Marquette. We'll be back a little bit later with conversations about the organizations that shape our community. Until then, I'm Zoey Scheurich. Goodbye, Marquette.